Vincent van Gogh. Vincent van Gogh's mind was both his greatest gift and his deepest torment. Long before he became a symbol of artistic genius, he lived with intense emotional instability that shaped every stroke of his brush. Modern medical experts believe Van Gogh suffered from temporal lobe epilepsy, a disorder that caused sudden hallucinations, disorientation, and episodes of altered consciousness. Friends reported moments when he stared into space for long periods, responding slowly as if trapped in a dream. Layered on top of epilepsy, Van Gogh likely experienced bipolar disorder. During manic phases, he painted obsessively, sometimes creating multiple masterpieces in a single day. When depression hit, he couldn't get out of bed, unable to face the world or his own thoughts. His letters to his brother Theo describe cycles of despair followed by explosions of creative energy. His psychotic episodes were the most terrifying. He heard voices, misunderstood reality, and suffered intense paranoia. The infamous moment when he cut off part of his ear wasn't an isolated act. It was the climax of a psychological spiral. Yet, in the middle of chaos, he produced some of the greatest art ever known. The swirling skies of Starry Night and the trembling colors of Wheatfield with Crows weren't just artistic choices. They reflected a brain in constant motion, on the edge between brilliance and breakdown. Van Gogh's illness never defined him, but it shaped the world he painted, a world brighter, louder, and more emotionally charged than reality itself. Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein is often portrayed as the perfect intellectual machine, but the real Einstein struggled enormously in childhood. His teachers thought he was lazy and unfocused. He learned to speak much later than other children. He hated memorization, resisted structure, and preferred wandering thoughts over textbooks. Modern psychologists believe Einstein displayed clear signs of dyslexia. He found reading challenging, often mixing letters, and needing extra time to process written language. Words didn't come naturally, but images did. He once explained that he rarely thought in sentences. Instead, he used signs and visual images connected by emotion and intuition. Einstein also likely had ADHD. He was restless, easily bored by routine, constantly daydreaming in class. But once something captured his attention, like puzzles, geometry, or thought experiments, he could focus with near superhuman intensity. His cognitive differences weren't obstacles. They were advantages. His mind wasn't built for traditional learning. It was built for imagination. He visualized riding a beam of light. He pictured clocks slowing down in orbit. He imagined gravity as a curve in space. Einstein's learning problems were actually the foundation of his genius, proof that different doesn't mean broken. Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln carried the weight of the nation on his shoulders, but long before he faced the Civil War, he was fighting a war inside his own mind. Historical records describe Lincoln as a man suffering from severe, chronic depression. As early as his 20s, he experienced what friends called melancholy spells, during which he couldn't eat, sleep, or speak more than a few words a day. He wrote letters describing a deep blackness that followed him everywhere. At least twice in his life, friends removed razors and knives from his room out of fear he would harm himself. His depression came with anxiety and panic attacks, moments when he felt overwhelmed by dread, unable to control his racing thoughts. He often walked alone at night, silently crying under the pressure of emotion and responsibility. Yet, these experiences didn't weaken him, they forged him. Lincoln understood suffering intimately. His ability to show compassion during a time of national brutality came from years of living with his own emotional darkness. His illness shaped his leadership, patient, thoughtful, empathetic, and painfully aware of human fragility. Lincoln's depression didn't ruin his life. In many ways, it prepared him for the hardest presidency in American history. Princess Diana. Princess Diana lived under a microscope, every gesture photographed, every expression analyzed. But behind the glamorous image was a woman fighting enormous emotional pain. Diana suffered from bulimia nervosa, a cycle of binge eating and purging triggered by stress, humiliation, and feelings of helplessness. She described the illness as a secret prison, something she hid from everyone while struggling with emotional collapse behind closed doors. Her eating disorder wasn't about appearance, it was about control. In a world where she felt powerless, bulimia became a mechanism to cope with overwhelming feelings. She also engaged in acts of self-harm, not because she wanted attention, but because emotional pain had become unbearable. Diana's candid admission of her struggles shocked the world. Royal life demanded silence, but she broke that silence to help others. Her honesty changed global conversations about mental health, showing people everywhere that even the most beloved public figures can suffer deeply. Her illness humanized her and made her one of the most relatable icons of the modern age. Nikola Tesla, the visionary who imagined wireless energy, self-driving vehicles, and global communication long before their time, lived within a mind ruled by obsession. Tesla suffered from severe obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD. He washed his hands constantly. He counted his steps. He refused to shake hands. He performed actions in multiples of 3. He couldn't tolerate earrings, pearls, or round objects. He demanded hotel rooms with numbers divisible by 3. He also lived with intense phobias of germs, of touching hair, of seeing women wearing jewelry. These fears isolated him, making social life difficult and romantic relationships nearly impossible. Tesla's mind was brilliant but rigid. His thoughts often spiraled into obsession, and he suffered periods of exhaustion from constant mental overdrive. Yet the same obsessive patterns made him relentless in solving scientific problems. He could work for days without sleep, lost in equations and visions of machines that didn't exist yet. His illness didn't hinder his genius, it fueled it. But it also cost him companionship, stability, and peace. Tesla's brilliance came with a price, a mind that created wonders while quietly collapsing inward. Sylvia Plath. Sylvia Plath lived with a brain that swung violently between extremes. In her manic phases, she wrote with electric speed. Poems, stories, journal entries flooded from her mind in bursts of fiery energy. She felt invincible, unstoppable, consumed by creative force. Then came the crashes. Dark, debilitating episodes of bipolar depression left her unable to get out of bed, unable to speak, unable to feel anything but despair. Her journals are filled with haunting descriptions of emotional numbness, intrusive thoughts, and a feeling of being sealed inside a bell jar. Her illness was relentless. It battered her self-esteem, her relationships, her sense of reality. But it also gave her writing an intensity unmatched by any poet of her generation. Plath's struggle ended tragically, but her voice continues to echo, giving millions insight into the raw experience of bipolar disorder, the beauty and the terror of a mind that burns too brightly. Stephen Hawking. Stephen Hawking's body failed him early, but his mind soared beyond boundaries. Diagnosed with ALS, amyotrophic lateral sclerosis at age 21, he was told he had only a few years to live. The disease attacked his motor neurons, gradually paralyzing every muscle in his body. He lost the ability to walk, then to speak, then almost to move at all. Yet, from a wheelchair, communicating through a single functioning cheek muscle, he reshaped the world's understanding of physics. Hawking's greatest discoveries, black hole radiation, the singularity theorem, the nature of time, were made while his body was shutting down. His illness forced him to reinvent how he worked, how he communicated, how he learned. His life became a paradox. A man trapped inside a failing body, exploring the infinite universe with unmatched brilliance. His perseverance wasn't just inspirational, it redefined human potential. Ludwig van Beethoven. Ludwig van Beethoven lived the nightmare of every musician. He lost his hearing in his 30s. By 40, he was almost completely deaf. By 45, he heard nothing at all, not the applause, not the instruments, not even his own voice. He communicated with people through notebooks. He composed by feeling vibrations through wooden rods, biting them as he touched the piano to sense sound through his bones. Beethoven battled depression, loneliness, and anger. He wrote letters begging for help, describing his life as a battle with fate. And yet, during his deafest years, he produced his most powerful music: the Ninth Symphony, the late string quartets, the Missa Solemnis. He didn't compose sound, he composed emotion, structure, and memory. His illness isolated him, but it also forced him deeper into imagination. Beethoven proved that creativity doesn't depend on perfect ability. It depends on an overwhelming need to express what cannot be spoken.